Hey you guys, so one of the things that's popped back up ever since the whole Amberlynn Reid Aunt Tammy drama is Amber's accusations against her ex-partner Casey that he hurt her. I obviously can't specify like the word that Amber uses, but you guys all know which word I'm talking about, especially this early in the video. I definitely can't say the word, so hopefully you know what I mean. So during Amber's conversation with Tammy, which you would have seen if you watched my previous video, the one about Amber claims and basically doubles down on her accusation of Casey, and she claims that what she said about Casey was 100% true.
But one thing I will stand by is everything I said about Casey is 100% true.
Before Amber said this, I was already kind of interested in the Casey situation. So this morning, I rewatched Mr. Snowflake's Victims of an Empath series, the Casey episode, and I decided that what might be a good thing to do is rather than go straight in and make a script about Casey, what I'm going to do instead is watch each of the 3 relevant videos on the situation. At least that's the plan. We'll see if I end up doing all 3. But first, I'm going to watch Amber's initial video. It was posted in the May of 2016, and this is the video where Amber claims that she was harmed or R-worded by Casey. The video was titled, "In an Abusive Relationship, I Was R-worded." Thank you to the channel Exposing ALR who re-uploaded this. We're going to be watching their re-upload of this video today. I'm going to watch it again with fresh eyes and just talk to you guys about what I think as I'm watching it. I think it might be kind of helpful, at least for me, and also maybe for you guys, to just watch the whole thing again and just remind ourselves what Amber said, how she acted. There might be some lying tells that we can pick up on. And I guess I just kind of want it like fresh in all of our minds, because I have a feeling that this whole essay lie and Casey lie is going to come back up again. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I want it to. I just feel like it's really relevant at the moment. I don't know if that's just because I'm so annoyed about it, but I just feel like in the first instance, covering Amber, this is one of the videos. It's one of the most pivotal things she ever did on YouTube, and it's one of the videos that I think I want to react to it, so I'm gonna. Right, let's watch this video together and see what there is to see. Amber's video is 21 minutes long, so this video is probably going to be quite long. It's also a heavy topic, so just to pre-warn you, I'm a talker, especially when it comes to this topic, so bear with, but we will get through it. Okay, here we go.
Hey you guys, so
Hey,
I wanted to make a video about something that
I'm gonna lie about.
haven't really talked about really. I'm sorry if this video is like all over the place. I'm not going to edit it or anything because I can't. My editing system is just not working. So I was recently talking to someone who had no idea that I was in a relationship before, and
so straight off the bat, I don't really believe that she was talking to somebody who didn't know about this. I think that she wanted to make a clicky, sensational video with a big title because she wanted to make money. It's my opinion that that is why. We see a lot of this from Amber. We see a lot of it generally from YouTubers. They justify, I mean, I do it sometimes. They justify what they're filming and why they're filming it. And they feel they need to give a reason. They can't just say, today we're going to do this. They want to say, well, something happened, or I had this comment and it made me want to make this video. Almost like they feel they need to justify why they're taking up the viewer's time. So I feel like that's probably more likely why she's given this explanation, rather than it being actually because she was talking to somebody who didn't know she was in that relationship. I could be wrong about that. I don't know.
told me how girls who stay in abusive relationships are just lazy and that they like to be abused. Now, I from firsthand witnessed...
So she goes, I from firsthand, and then there's a smile. I don't know if you saw that. I'll put it here if you didn't see it.
Now, I from firsthand witnessed...
There's I from firsthand, and then she makes this little smile. Now, why would you smile? That's a weird time to smile, isn't it? Is it Duper's delight? Is it her being like, haha, this is great content. I know people are going to eat this up. It's very strange to me that you would be saying the sentence, I have first-handedly experienced something which she claims is one of the worst things she's ever experienced, but then give a little smile. Very strange to me.
My dad abusing my mother my whole childhood. There were knives involved, hair pulling to the point of wads of hair would just come out in his hands. I witnessed my mom having a broken nose, broken teeth.
It's weird again, that sort of smiley laugh, broken teeth with the kind of laugh. I know she did see awful, awful stuff in her childhood, so that could be true, but it just doesn't seem like the kind of attitude that you should or maybe would show when explaining this. But I could be wrong. It could be that it's like a cope smile or a cope laugh, I don't know. I also do have to confess my bias here, which, I mean, Amber loves saying reaction channels are full of bias. Everyone is full of bias. Every single person on every single topic carries a measure of bias. It's just the human condition. But I absolutely do hold bias in the sense that I believe that Casey is the person who's telling the truth in this story. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I'm not looking for places to point Amber's lies out, because I am, and I am entering this with the mindset that I think Amber is lying. I just wanted to say that because I think it's only fair enough to admit my bias, but I am going to watch it with, something of an open mind. For example, just then, I know Amber did experience that bad stuff in childhood, and I'm admitting that. I'm not going to just be like, she's lying about everything, because that lacks nuance.
Bruises upon bruises, and there has also been a few broken bones involved, and that was all coming from my father. I knew it wasn't right as a little girl. I tried my hardest to defend my mother towards him. It was impossible. He's a big guy, really strong. He's like 6'7", and I'm just this little girl throwing fists at my father's back, trying to get him to stop, and I couldn't. I told myself I will never be with someone who lays a hand on me.
I'm just going to pause for a second. I'm just going to speed Amber up to a 1.25. For those of you who have asked me to do this in the past, I'm going to do it because she is talking very slowly here. So we're just going to jump up to a 1.25 just to give us a bit more, get through it a little bit quicker.
I always questioned why my mom stayed with him. Like, what was the point? And she'd always say, because I love him. And I would be like, why do you love someone that, abuses you? So, my first true...
I'm just going to pause now. So she's told us that story about her past. She started this whole video about Casey out by telling us about the abuse that she watched in her childhood between her parents. So I feel that she's doing this to give credibility to her story. So she said, I observed abuse, therefore I told myself I would never be with somebody who did that to me. But also, crucially, what she's not explicitly saying, but what she's implying, I feel, is that not only would she never be with somebody who would do that to her, but she would never do that to anyone. That's the kind of the other side of that coin. Although it's not explicitly stated, I sense that that's part of the reason that she is saying this. She's almost qualifying what kind of person she is and that she would never do it. Almost like subconsciously she knows she's lying. Now that could be a reach, but that's just a thought that I've had. And the whole point of these reactions is literally just me, especially with this one. I'm just going to tell you what I think, because I do think there is a video pending where I dive into this all in a more formal way. So I just want to start with kind of dipping my toe in the initial thoughts. Also, rather than do a community post and ask you for you guys' thoughts, you can drop your thoughts in the comments here, which will help me with a future video that I make about Casey. So anyway, just thought I'd do the YouTuber thing and justify the reason I'm making the video.
Committed relationship. I've had a lot of like random relationships, like don't even consider them though, but like my first like live-in relationship was with a girl named Cassidy. I feel very strongly about this, and I feel like it's okay for me to say her name.
So it's not. If you know someone's trans and you know their chosen name, you should use it. There's no well, when I knew them, they were called this, and so that's the person I knew. No, just use their correct name and their correct pronoun, and that's it.
Because she's transgender now.
So he's transgender now.
Cassidy no longer, so I'm able to say her name because she's a once was person. Like,
so I'm not gonna bang on about this, but just so that everyone knows, I'm going to say it once so we're all on the same page here. Amber dead names Casey and uses the incorrect pronoun for Casey throughout this video. That's not something I fuck with, and I think that was a mistake.
Cassidy is no longer here anymore, obviously. I'm not going to say his new name because we're talking about her. Transgender talk is too confusing, so we're just going to leave it as that. So Her name was Cassidy, and it was first long distance, and I was living in Oklahoma for a bit of that time when it was long distance.
So just to be clear here, she's living in Oklahoma, she's living in her grandma's house with her mum, who is still using, and she's moved there because Aunt Tammy kicked her out, as discussed in the recent Aunt Tammy interviews. That's partially why this has come back up, because timing wise it's very relevant. It's around this time that Tammy's been kind of talking about that this all happened, allegedly happened, between Amber and Casey. So that's also partially why it's come back to the forefront again.
By the way, she lived in Arizona, but when I first started talking to her I was in California, but then I moved to Oklahoma, and I was going to Arizona for just a month to visit her. Like, we were in love, thoroughly in love. We were together for, I want to say, about a year and a half before I went there and like stayed with her for a month. So
another thing that pops up in this, and you'll see this a bit later, I think, maybe it's more in Casey's video actually that you'll see this, but Amber, when you think about it, she's like a leech. She's actually genuinely stuck onto one person, followed them along until she gets another person. It's almost like she switches from that person to that person and then sticks to them for a period. There's no time where she hasn't been doing that, apart from the last 2 years where she's been living in Oklahoma and she's had her mum around. But it's very interesting if you watch how she attaches herself to somebody's life and almost puts in all this effort and time to become so important to that person. And it's very fascinating how she just moves from person to person. A lot of the Casey research I've been doing has shown how Amber moved from Casey to Crystal, and that was also really interesting. It's just the way she kind of gets everything she can out of someone and then moves on like a vampire.
I was there for like 2 weeks, and I called my mom and I was like, oh my god, I miss you so much, because I was living with her and my grandma at the time. And on the phone she told me, your grandma said you can't come back to Oklahoma, you can't come live with us. And I was like, what? Like, where do I go? I was really scared. I had literally nowhere to live, and Cassidy's mom was pissed because I think she knew right then and there she's gonna have to take on like me, because I had.
Well, I mean, Amber's an adult, so I understand that Casey's mum felt that she needed to take Amber in, but Amber's a fully grown adult, so she should have just got herself a job, stayed under Casey's roof for 2 or 3 months to get herself, get some money saved up, and then rent yourself a tiny little flat, rent yourself a little shoebox, because you've got to take responsibility for yourself. It just goes to show that Amber was so unbelievably used to being taken care of and getting everything she can out of the foster system, out of Aunt Tammy, out of her grandma. There's no responsibility taken here for the fact that she's an adult who could get herself a job. She just goes, I had nothing, I didn't have anything, I didn't have a job. Well, that's very easily fixed. You just get one. I
had nowhere to go. I didn't have a job because I was in Arizona just for a month, so I didn't have a job, I didn't have anywhere to go, I had no car, I had nothing, and I just got done being in a foster care. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, because being in foster care, like, you're very like taken care of in a sense, like they always make sure you have a roof over your head and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my god, I'm 18.
I think that's where her entitlement comes from. She's used to that feeling that the world owes her a life, or the world owes her something at the very least. And I think that's the pattern we see repeated with her quite a lot.
I don't know what I'm gonna do and this whole thing, but Cassie's mom let me live there, and it was a very small apartment. I'm talking like, I think it was like 450 square feet. There were like no doors. Cassidy and I ended up having to use the living room as our bedroom. It wasn't good, but I was so happy. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna live with my girlfriend. Like, we're so.
Yeah, also, I mean, if you weren't living there, you'd be on the street. So you still need to be very, very grateful. Somebody who had not very much gave you a place to live in their already tiny apartment. And I don't think we see any gratefulness in this video. I don't think she says anything about how much she appreciates Casey's mum doing that.
So in love, it's like so amazing, and I felt blissful in a way, if that's the right word to use. Like, it just felt really good. We got along really well. And then after about I want to say 6 months or so, things started, you know, kind of changing and shifting. I don't really know if I want to like go into like grave detail. We still
So
love
I
each
think her saying, I don't really know if I want to go into grave detail. Two things about that. The first is the way she pronounces the word grave detail. She puts this kind of affected voice on. I don't know if I want to go into grave detail. It suggests to me that there's a lie there, because she does tend to affect the tone of her voice when she's lying, but also the fact in itself that she doesn't want to go into grave detail, to me, is quite suspicious, because you just think you're accusing somebody of something so serious in this video. At the very least, you could give detail and context to back up your version of events. When we go on to watch Casey's response to this, Casey does do that. Casey absolutely gives specific examples of things that happened, which make him infinitely more credible. And of course, Amber doesn't do that, but we're going to find that out as we keep watching.
other a lot. After 6 months, we'd been together for over 2 years, and we were living together and this and that. And I noticed we started arguing a little bit more, just over stupid stuff. Like, I can tell you that right now. And I still remember the first time she ever got physical. We had a laundry room in the apartment complex we were living in, and we were walking to the laundry room, and I remember back then I would do our laundry for us. I didn't really like people touching my laundry. I still really...
So she's saying here that she would do the laundry. She didn't like other people touching the laundry. Since this, Casey has come out and claimed that him and his mum did Amber's laundry, which I think is very believable, because Amber then went on to be with Crystal, and Crystal did their laundry as well, and Amber is a lazy individual, so go figure. Sorry if the shot just changed. I had to run downstairs and let the Amazon man deliver my new toaster. Anyway, let's carry on from where we were, shall we?
Don't, but I let Destiny do it because I trust her. But I had this weird thing with like people touching my laundry, whatever. So she was helping me carry, I guess, laundry to the laundry room. I don't remember really what we were arguing about, but I know it must have been something really stupid, probably about the laundry, blah, blah, blah.
It's strange to me that she knows it was something stupid, but she doesn't remember what it was, which is just a little bit weird. I understand that she might not remember what they were arguing about, but to remember that it was stupid when you don't remember what it was about kind of is almost like her trying to suggest that all of their fights were stupid, which they may have been. But I mean, when the person you're fighting with is, what, 16, 17? The fights are never going to be necessarily that mature, are they? But anyway, let's let her carry on with her story.
And she was carrying her clothes. I'm pretty sure I remember, and I was like carrying mine. And then
she was carrying her clothes. I'm pretty sure I remember. But she just said that she couldn't remember, but she thinks they're walking to the laundry room. Now she's saying she remembers that they were walking to the laundry room, and in fact she remembers who was carrying what. So that's just a little bit weird. You either remember it or you don't. You know what I mean?
I want to say this happened. It's been like 6-7 years, so memories are kind of like fading here and there. But I do remember us being on the
sidewalk. Remember, then why are you telling the story? It's very weird.
Sidewalk, and I remember her dropping what was in her hands, and she took me by the throat and she started yelling at me. I was like, what? And I think at the time, what shocked me the most was the fact that she was doing it in such a public place. Like, there was nobody around that I remember. And, like, I was, like, crying.
So
like,
it's very strange that she's claiming here that this is the first incident. So she's saying the first ever incident of this happening, or maybe she didn't specify that it was the first. I think she does. I think she goes on to say this was the first time that Casey ever put his hands on her, to suggest that the first physical incident between the two of them was Casey going straight for grabbing her by the neck, which is a very, very, very aggressive, invasive move, is really suspicious to me. I think it's far more likely that people do things like nail digging and following you around the house and grabbing you and, you know, throwing items. That sort of stuff, I think, happens first. I don't really think somebody will never touch you and then suddenly grab you by the neck. I don't really buy it. And then Amber saying here that her first thought is, why are you doing this in a public place? Not, why are you doing this at all? Or what the hell has provoked this? The first thing Amber thinks is, why is this happening in a public place? And the truth is, it's very unlikely, I think, for this to happen in a public place. I don't know. I think you're usually quite a long way down the DV line before the stuff is happening in public, right? There's that saying, you don't know what goes on behind closed doors, for a reason. Amber is suggesting here that a 16-year-old Casey, out of nowhere, randomly grabs her by the neck in public. It's not a very believable story, I'm sorry.
She literally was having me by the throat, just like screaming at me. And then, she let go, obviously.
If somebody's grabbing you by the neck and screaming in your face, you're going to remember at least one thing that they say. You would remember, like you'd remember if somebody came up to you, grabbed you by the neck and shouted in your face, you would remember what they said. You would remember at least one sentence, surely. I mean, maybe not if it's so horrible that you dissociate and then you can't remember, maybe, but I don't know. It's just, this whole story is odd. And the way she's speaking is really nonchalant, I think it is anyway.
I think I was so shocked and so numb to the situation that I kind of just let it be. Honestly, that is the truth. I didn't ever...
The fact that she feels the need to qualify with, honestly, that is the truth. Honestly, I'm telling the truth. More than likely, you're not, if you feel the need to say that. It kind of suggests that there's a part of you that knows your story needs to be qualified. So you feel the need to say, this is the honest truth, because you know it's not. And you're kind of almost foreseeing that people might tell you it's not true because you already know it's not true. You know what I mean? I mean, I can absolutely see that I'm observing this with heaps and heaps of bias because I know Amber is such a liar. But I also know that bias exists for a reason. Like, I see what I see because I know who Amber is. So it's extremely difficult to assess this video without that bias affecting me because I know Amber lies all the time. So it does make this very difficult, but I'm being honest with you about my bias at least, so that makes it a little bit better. And I'm sure you guys don't need me to tell you, you can think whatever you want. Of course.
Twice about it, like, oh my god, is she gonna start like me? Nothing like that.
Yeah, so that sentence, I didn't think twice about it. I didn't think, oh, is she going to start, hurting me? That suggests that was the first incident. I don't know. I'm not a professional. I wonder if any of you guys are. How likely is it that the first instance of DV is something so serious in public? I don't know. I think probably not, but let me know if you're a professional or, knowledgeable in this topic. I feel like it escalates, right? They push boundaries a tiny bit at a time and it slowly starts to escalate. I don't think it starts with this kind of thing.
Which is weird because of the childhood that I came from, right? But we just went on. And she never really did that again. She would randomly
really did that again. So did she do it or not? She never did that again, or she did that again. She never really did that again is a strange word to put into that sentence.
Pinch me if I made her really mad. And I didn't even think anything of that then either. Honestly, I didn't at all. And I want to say, we've been together for about 3 years now at this point. And I feel myself slowly... I stopped being, sexually attracted to her. I loved her, though. I know that. I don't know if it was, a best friend thing. But I stopped just feeling that, connection, I guess. So when it came to intimacy, I want to say about a little bit after, 2 years of being together, it started to dwindle. It was definitely my fault. This is when things got really bad.
So she admits there that it's her fault. She feels it's her fault that the intimacy started to dwindle, suggesting that she's the one who went off Casey. Well, we actually know, and I know this from watching Mr. Snowflake's Victims of an Empath series, that in fact, when Casey first met Amber, he wasn't attracted to her at all, which is very interesting. So this is Amber suggesting that he then became attracted to her, wanted her so badly that he R-worded her, allegedly, and then she went off him. It's just strange.
Ugh. I don't even know how to share this, but I'm gonna have to.
that laugh, right? What we just saw there, in fact, fuck it, I'm gonna play it again. Where she goes, I don't even know if I want to share this, but I guess I'm gonna have to, with a laugh.
Ugh. I don't even know how to share this, but I'm gonna have to.
It's the same laugh that she was doing in the live stream about Emily, where she was claiming that Emily's the one who let Rarity out. Amber was laughing and going, I don't know if I want to share this. I don't really want to talk about this. It is her subconscious telling her, and I'm going to have to sit and spit in again for saying this, but it is her subconscious telling her, don't do this. What you're saying is not true. The reason that you don't want to tell the story is because the story is not true. And if you are an actual victim of SA, which I am, and you're explaining your story to somebody, it's happened to me multiple times, I'm explaining what happened, I just get really upset and I start crying, or I act completely numb and just go, facts, 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 this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. You don't go, I don't know if I want to tell this, ha ha ha. Like that, you're recalling, if it's true, really traumatic memories that are deep inside you that have affected you for years. You don't laugh and go, I don't really know if I want to say this. Like, it's not how, at least I don't think, it's how victims of this kind of thing usually talk. And I don't know if it's wrong to say, I mean, I know it is kind of wrong to say victims usually do X, because then you can start saying, well, you didn't do X, therefore you're not a victim, which is not a valid or sound argument, and it's not a good thing to do. But in this particular instance, with this particular individual in this video, I am willing to say that I don't think this is how she would act if she was telling a true story, and I do feel comfortable saying that.
Destiny knows all about this, by the way. Like, it's something like I really needed to let her know about me. Okay, so Cassidy was very sexually...
I've just paused there for a second. So she just said, and this is funny, she just said, Destiny... So I've paused on a really weird screen. She goes, Destiny knows all about this, by the way. So she's saying, I don't really know if I want to say this, which I think is her subconsciously knowing she's about to lie. And then she qualifies it again by doing that classic Amberlynn thing that she always does or regularly does, where she goes, well, Destiny knows, or my mum knows. There is, you know, that video camera filmed me having my breakdown. There's evidence out there. You can't check it. You can't ask Destiny, but I promise you that Destiny knows. And it's she does it sometimes very subtle. My mum knows. I've told my mum. You can ask my mum. Destiny knows. That is what I got from that. It was like her saying, don't worry, it's true, because I've already told someone else and you can go and ask them. You know what I mean?
Strived, like, is that even a thing? I don't know. She really thought I was attractive. She really was sexually attracted to me, and she always wanted to, like, have sex. And I stopped feeling that for her. Like, I didn't tell her that. I would just, like, make up things like, oh, I don't feel good, or oh, I'm on my period, like, even though I wasn't. And just little things like that. And it made her fucking pissed. When you say no to someone, whether you've been with them for like a month or whether you've been with them for like 6 years, if you say no to a sexual act, your partner should accept that. That is where I firmly stand.
The fact that she even needs to say that is weird. So going, that's where I firmly stand, with, you know, with the little shrug, as if that's some kind of like hot take. Oh, you're anti-R word? What a crazy newfangled take. You know what I mean? It's very strange. Why does she feel the need to explain in this video that she is anti-SA? Like, of course you are. Of course she is. Almost everyone is. You know what I mean? Apart from the people who do it. So it's just... it's odd to me that she feels the need to be like, I don't know, this is just my opinion, but I think you shouldn't be coerced into doing stuff. Like, yeah, of course not.
But she didn't. And she would literally sit there and beg me. At first it was like cute little begs, like, oh, come on, baby,
yeah,
whatever.
So it's weird to me that she's saying she would sit there and beg her, and she describes the begging from who she claims is her as cute little begs. Very weird. Very weird. With a laugh as well. Like, I'm sorry, but this is not how victims talk. This is not how I would expect Amberlynn as a victim to talk. I don't know how, you know, I'm not speaking for all victims, of course not. It's not credible at all. It's just not.
Then as time gradually went on, it became, you're gonna fucking touch me whether you like it or not. And
immediate face touch. Like, you're gonna fucking touch me as long as you, whether you like it or not, and then immediately touches her face. And I don't know about all that, you know, body language pseudoscience, but it is kind of strange that there's a lot of face touching going on. But then again, as I've said in other videos, I'm sat here touching my face and fiddling and stuff. So, you know, I'm not lying to you in this video, but yet I'm critiquing her for touching her face. So, you know, there's obviously a line with that kind of thing. There's just something about the way she's talking in this video that doesn't ring true. You know, you have that feeling inside you where you can listen to somebody talk. It's like your bullshit detector. You listen to someone speak and you just think to yourself, you're talking shit. I have that, I think everyone does, quite strongly inside me, and it dings like crazy when Amber is speaking.
You can't force me. And little did I know she can. That's when she started punching me a lot. She would aim for my belly. I don't think she ever actually hit me in the face.
I don't think she ever hit me in the face is crazy work. So if you've ever been hit in the face, you'll know. Like, you'll remember that. I don't think she ever hit me in the face. What she really means there is, I don't think I want to claim that she hit me in the face. I don't think that that's the story I want to tell. So I'm not going to say that. Not Casey didn't hit me in the face. It's, I don't think she hit me in the face, which allows wiggle room for the story to change in future. It's just not okay.
Her favorite spot was my stomach. She would punch me really hard in my stomach. She'd punch me like around right here a lot. She'd punch me on my arms And she would continuously do it until I agreed to make love to her or have sex, whatever you want to consider it.
So that's one of the things as well that I've always found extremely strange about this video. I don't think people refer to their experience of R word as making love. I don't think there is a person on this fucking planet who would ever use that phrase when talking about their experience of being R-worded. It could be that, apologies by the way for saying R-worded, but I can't say the word, so hopefully you guys get that. I don't think anyone would ever do that. It could be that Amber uses, you know, the words sex and making love interchangeably and thinks they're one thing and she just considers it as one thing, but I just think it's very strange that she's suggesting here that after being punched and coerced by somebody, she would then be able to go on to make love to them. It's odd wording. I think it's really odd wording. But I do know that young Amber used that phrase a lot. That's a phrase she uses a lot in her channel. She likes to think of it as making love. So maybe it's just the way she talks. And listen, like, this is it, Amber. This is some of that nuance you're after, right? I'm giving you credit. It's possible you're not using the phrase making love here because you're a big fat liar. Maybe it's because that's just what you call sex. Like, that's nuance, right? I'm giving you room that what I think might not be the case. So just in case you're watching this, which I know you are, babe. But yeah, that phrase to me has always just hit me wrong, you know? I don't know if any of you guys have got that as well.
So not only was I being physically abused, but I was pretty much being like, that is what I consider it.
Okay, there it is. There it is. There's the big accusation. We are actually going to scroll back a tiny bit and just watch that again. I don't know why. I just want to watch her say that again.
So not only was I being physically abused, but I was pretty much being like, that is what I consider it, because I continuously would say no to her.
So saying that, yeah, and then immediately she touches the glasses, immediately she's looking to the side, she's qualifying it, you know, I was being R-worded. That's what I consider it, which leaves room for it to not be that. I feel like if that happens to you, you know either way. So again, there's that kind of like qualifying language. Well, that's what I consider it, which already before the response has even come out about this video, she's already justifying her use of the R word, which we know she then goes on to backtrack on, although she doesn't actually, but we'll watch her response and read the poem and everything in another video. But it is just, you know, suspicious to me that she's qualifying her use of this word. I would argue unnecessarily. If the story's true, just tell it. You don't need to justify why you characterize what happened to you the way you do, you know?
It was such like a bad mixture of everything. And this would go on. This would happen probably weekly. God, here are the tears. I was trying to be strong for this video. A lot of people.
So there's no tears, absolutely no tears falling. You can see her cheeks, no tears. There's a laugh as well, like a sort of, oh, here are the tears, and then puts her head all the way back so that you can't see any tears, then laughs. Just, that's not how it happens. The way her voice breaks when she's talking is not how I would expect a voice to break when you're having like an emotional kind of your face kind of, you know, you're talking, you're trying not to cry and the crying kind of comes through and your face does that sort of like feeling and it feels really horrible. That's not what we just saw. You know, this is performative all day long.
Would ask, why didn't I hit her back? Why didn't I leave her in that, you know, in that stance? I loved her. At the time I was confused. I didn't love her, like, as a girlfriend. I just loved her as a person. She was that first true relationship I was in, and we had such amazing times that I just felt like maybe one day she'll stop being like this. You know, maybe one day she'll stop forcing me to have sex with her. One day she'll stop hitting me. And as many times as I felt like, okay, maybe things will change, it just kept getting worse and worse after that moment. Like, not only was she hitting me because I wouldn't have sex with her, she was hitting me if I wouldn't do the dishes on time. She would push me up against counters. And one thing she never did was she never, like, called me names.
So I'm pausing here for a second just to say, notice here that when Amber tells her story, and I've kind of said this already, but Amber doesn't give specific instances of things that happened. Now, again, I hope I'm going to have put a massive trigger warning at the beginning of this video, so just, you know, be warned, this is going to be heavy. But when I think through, and this is just me, and I'm just one person, right? But when I think through my memories of what happened to me, they are very clear snapshots of individual experiences. So without like going into it too much, I don't remember like all the stuff in between and how we got from this place to that place, or like how much time passed between this instance and that instance, but I remember very clearly the specific details of each individual event, and we're not getting any of that from Amber. We're not getting this happened in this place in this way, I saw this. I like the way she's telling the story is general. It's like I've read about abuse and I know how it sounds, so I know what to say. It's not like we were in this room and she did this to me. It's like she would punch me all round here, or she would do this, she would force me. There's no, I was sat in this room and she came in from this door and sat in this chair and said this. It's not very specific. Now, I'm not saying that people who can't remember details are lying. That's not what I'm saying. And I don't want to say that. So I need to allow space, right? So if there were other victims who would tell me their story and they tell me in their own way, I'm not going to be like, well, where are your details? So I shouldn't do that to Amber. And all I can do is acknowledge that kind of unfairness in the way I'm analysing this, I suppose. Also note here how quickly that emotion has passed. There was no pausing, there was no change in her breathing, there were no tears wiped. It was just, here come the waterworks, and then head back, and then that disappears completely, which also is suspicious. Like, it just is.
Never. And I was like living in that like moment of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me type of thing. Where it's like, okay, hitting people, blah, 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 but if, like, she started emotionally hurting me, then I should leave. I
mean, you'll know this if you've seen Victims of an Empath, but Amber made multiple accusations against Casey of calling her names and other stuff, other verbal abuse, so I don't think that this is true.
Healthy situation. And as time went on, I really wanted to leave. That was when I met Crystal online. It just kind of fatefully happened. Like, I was not looking for a relationship. I was in a relationship. Me and Crystal became really good friends. And then I started realizing, like, Crystal is what I need in my life, not Cassidy. Cassidy is abusive. And not only is she abusive physically, but she's abusive, like, sexually. And that is not okay. And I remember one time particular when we weren't arguing about anything like sexual or whatever. I don't remember what the argument was.
This is strange again. So we weren't arguing about anything sexual, but I don't remember what the argument was. So do you remember or not? So you can you remember that it wasn't something, but you don't remember what it was? Maybe, but it's just a little red flag.
I know her mom was home. Her mom was in her room, a very small apartment. So we were like arguing in whispers, like, so she couldn't hear. I'm pretty sure she got the gist of it because Cassidy started hitting me really hard. It was probably one of the worst ever. And I was kind of just like, you know, blocking myself, or at least trying.
That's not how these things happen. So I don't think anyway. So she said they were arguing about something in whispers and then Casey started hitting her. It's random, you know, you would expect there to be more memory of it for a start, but you would expect there to be more build up. It's just Casey and I sat there having a little whispered argument and then suddenly he starts hitting me. It's just very strange. Apologies, by the way, if when I'm repeating back things that Amber says I misgender Casey. I'll correct myself as much as possible. I'm just saying that now because I almost just did it then, but I don't find this a credible explanation of how that would happen. Would you be sat there having a whispering, you know, argument with somebody and then they randomly just start hitting you? I mean, hitting you is going to make noise, right? If you're whispering to be quiet, why would they hit you and then make you probably yell and make noise? Just don't believe it.
Too. And Cassidy's mom came in and all she said is, "Cassidy, what are you doing?" and then walked away. The whole time I lived there, I really hoped there was a moment where Cassidy's mom would see. I thought maybe she'd be my hero and like somehow change the way Cassidy treated me.
But she just explained a moment where Casey's mum did see. She says, the whole time I was there, I hoped there'd be a moment that Casey's mum would see. But she's just told us about a situation where Casey's mum did see, allegedly, and didn't say anything or said one tiny thing and walked off. So that's a bit strange.
I thought maybe, you know, her and I would become closer because she saw I was in an abusive relationship, because me and Cassidy's mom were never close. And she didn't do anything about it. And oh yeah, to answer the question of like, why didn't I ever hit her back? Because my brother used to hit me a lot when I was a teenager, when I was like 16. My brother is a year younger than me, but he's strong. Like, he might be my little brother, but he's my big brother, you know? And he would hit me a lot. And I know it's because he has anger issues. He saw how my dad was with my mom and this and that. And that's just what he did. And he would emotionally fuck me up in the head. He did a lot. Like, I felt like my own brother hated me for a while there, but that's a whole other subject. But when he first started hitting me, I would hit him back for like self-defense, and it just made him more angry and more mad. And
there's no tears. There's no tears. The voice is going high-pitched, but she's not actually crying, it seems. I've got no idea if this brother accusation is true, but whether it's true or not, there's no crying happening here, and I feel like this is, once again, another ploy to get sympathy.
The punches got worse, the bruises got darker, and
that's so poetic in a suspicious way, almost like she's read it somewhere. I don't think that's a sentence that Amber would think of on her own. The punches got harder, the bruises got darker. It's very, very poetic, almost like she's either pre-prepared it or she's read it somewhere, maybe.
I want that with Cassidy. I was scared. I was way too scared to hit back, so I never did. I think what drew the line with me and Cassidy was her and her mom. This was like one of the worst nights in the world. Like, I can't even.
She just wiped away a tear that's not there. Like, her face, and there's light behind her, which means you could see a tear like sparkling off her face. There's no sparkling. You know, there's no tears.
Cassidy was mad about something. She pushed me up against the counter. She got a knife and was throwing it in my face and saying she was gonna stab me. I was like, yeah, right. Like,
so like, again, strange. So she's suggesting here a specific incident where Casey grabs a knife and swings it in Amber's face. This is somebody who Amber claims has been physically hurting her for a long time, and they get, you know, it escalates according to her, and there's a knife being swung in her face and she's not scared of it. That's again, like, not very believable. You wouldn't be like, yeah, whatever, you know? I don't think so, especially when you were raised in a household where she claims that there was violence of that type involving knives between her parents. So just weird. And it almost makes me think that's probably more than likely what she did to Casey, but Casey never said that, so maybe that's over the line.
And then she started really hitting me, like, in my chest and kind of like in my boobs. And Cassidy's mom came out and blamed it all on me. And then Cassidy's mom threw this like big clear ashtray right to my head. It hurt so bad. And in that moment I was like, why am I here? What am I doing? For a little bit there, I kind of felt like I was trapped in a cage. I loved this girl, but I didn't love her right. Everything about it was unhealthy. It is so hard to describe.
And she admits there that she loved Casey, but she didn't love him right. What does that mean? Is that a small admission that she was the awful one? Or she was awful? Because she says she didn't love him right. What does that mean, you know?
The only people who can feel this way and understand what I'm saying is people who have been in an abusive relationship.
No, that's not true. So I haven't ever been in a physically abusive relationship, but I can understand what she's saying. You know, so I don't really think that's true. And I think that's, once again, her subconscious being aware that there are going to be people who watch this who don't believe her. So she's, again, I think, kind of qualifying it and saying only people who've been through it will understand. Well, that's not true.
As much as like your boyfriend or your girlfriend will hit you, you still love them, and it's so unhealthy. And I just want to tell you guys, First
I'm just going to pause for a second. So she said here now, I think this is now the fourth time, because every time she said it before, I've gone, am I going to mention it now? Am I going to mention it now? Now's the time. So she's saying that the reason that people stay in these situations is because they love the person. And yeah, I think that absolutely is a factor. But I also think the fear of leaving is a huge factor. I don't know. I'm not educated on this, but I've picked up throughout my life that one of the things that makes it so hard to leave a relationship where you're experiencing DV is because you're scared of what the person will do. They say the most dangerous part of a relationship like that is when you try and leave. Amber hasn't spoken here at all about any kind of fear of leaving or having comeuppance from Casey about leaving. She also hasn't given any kind of indication of a motivation from Casey, nothing at all, hasn't mentioned any jealousy, hasn't mentioned any control, hasn't said anything about Casey not letting her do things or not wanting her to go out, nothing from Amber about Casey being afraid of being left. There is no insight throughout all of this video that we've seen so far, 16 minutes of it. There is no insight from Amber about why Casey might be doing this. Nothing that she has said shows any kind of motivation, and I think that is very interesting. And that also kind of ties into the fear of leaving thing, because a lot of the time the reason you can't leave is because you're afraid of what the person would do to you when you try and leave. But often that also relates, as I understand it, to control and the person trying to control you and what you do and not wanting to be left. So again, no fear of leaving and no explanation or no understanding from Amber of any kind of manipulation or control from Casey. It's just plain accusations of being punched and being grabbed by the neck and being forced into doing things. There's no specific examples. There's no reason for it. She can't remember the argument. She can't remember what Casey said. All the things that would give it more credibility and show perhaps Casey's motivation in this behaviour. There's nothing about any of that. And again, it makes her story feel very flat, very one-sided, lacking in depth and explanation. And that makes me feel that it is fabricated.
That if anyone emotionally hurts you, sexually hurts you, or physically hurts you, don't stand for it. Don't, because it ruins you. And
I mean, that's kind of victim blamey. That reads to me as kind of victim blamey. If anyone's doing this to you or doing that to you, don't stand for it. Don't, because it will ruin you. It won't ruin you. Standing for it won't ruin you. The person doing it to you ruins you. It's very easy to say, don't stand for it. That's not really how it works. And if you had ever actually been in a situation like that, you would know that it's so much more complicated than just saying, don't stand for it. So again, very flat, very lacking in nuance from Amber here, I think.
Through everything, you find it so hard to trust people and it's so hard to open up, and you have this guard up that could really just mess up your world, and it's not good.
It's not good. Deep. I wonder here, her saying it means you can't trust people and it makes you put your guard up. Is that the biggest concern? I think there are worse things, being triggered when you're in similar situations. I just think there's other ways that this would affect you as well that might be more tangible than just fear of trusting someone new, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a bit too nitpicky.
It's not, and I know how hard it is. If you're in an abusive relationship, I know how hard it is. Because you trust in your heart and in your soul that they'll change. And you start to kind of accept the love you think you deserve.
There's no tears coming out of her face right now. And it is very strange to watch this with, however many 8 years of time passed from then to now, and be aware of the stuff that Amber's done since and how she's treated people since, and the long chain of victims that have come out having been in a relationship with her. To see her sit there and almost mock the experience, I feel it is mocking the experience of people who have actually been abused by her, and she's sat here making a mockery of that experience by trying to make it seem like she went through that as well. It's not cute at all. Sorry, it's not cute is such a shit sentence to say. It's icky and abhorrent, and it makes me angry to see her fake crying with no tears, no shine on that face. There are no tears there, and it's just kind of sickening to know what she goes on to do and what she already did to Casey. She has just got worse and worse, and we can tell from the Emily stuff, which is why this is all relevant again. She's got nothing but worse since this.
I love you so much that you deserve so much more than what you're getting. Nobody, and I mean nobody, deserves to be hit by their boyfriend or girlfriend or their wife or husband. Nobody. And I feel like a lot of the time, since I am a lesbian, like, abusive relationships in, like, the lesbian community aren't as, like, what's the word for it? Aren't as, like, oh no, compared to, like, if you're in a heterosexual relationship, but it's just the same.
I think that if I'm going to give the most, as a gay girly, if I'm going to give the most charitable response I can possibly muster from that, I think what she's trying to get at is that the societal thought of a man hitting a woman is thought of as being worse than a woman hitting a woman. I think that's what she's trying to say. But of course, that's not the case. DV is awful. Whoever is doing it, including men doing it to women, women doing it to men, people doing it to each other, anyone doing it to anyone. There's a part of me that wants to, like, lay into her for that. But I'm not going to, because I get what she's trying to say, I think. But I am aware of her saying some things about lesbian relationships that are really fucking shit. She said some stuff like, I think she said, like, lesbian relationships can be a bit hecticana, or she made, like, a joke about U-Haul lesbians or something. A couple of people have asked me to address it. I never have. But I don't love the whole Amber blames her moving from girlfriend to girlfriend to girlfriend on the U-Haul lesbian thing. It's not that. It's you being manipulative and trying to insert yourself into other people's lives and suck the fucking life out of them. But anyway.
Like, or if it's two guys, like, you should not be hurt. Like, God, I'm just so grateful that I left that unhealthy environment. And I just want to say, Crystal never physically hurt me. Destiny.
That's the way she said that. Crystal never physically hurt me, and she breathes out. There's been speculation that she hurt Crystal. I think she didn't hurt Destiny because she knew she couldn't get away with it. That's my theory, at least. But yeah, there's something really sickening about this, man.
Physically hurts me, and I feel like that is the most precious gift. That's sad to say, but I've been through such freaking hell, in my whole life that...
More victim status, more wiping of no tears. I've been through such frigging hell. Maybe you have, but it's not a precious gift for your partner to not hit you. That's like, it's not even bare minimum. It's just like, I don't know. It's so absolutely integral that your partner doesn't hit you.
Being with someone who actually doesn't want to hurt me, that feels fucking awesome, because I feel like every kind of relationship I've been in my life, whether it be like with my brother or like a friend, I feel like whatever it may be, they've hurt me in some type of way, and it's almost like they got off on it and enjoyed it. But I'm stronger than that, and I know what is right and what is wrong, and I will learn a lot. I have learned a lot being with Cassidy, and if you guys are wondering, yes, she is now a he, and it's been a long time, 6 years since I was with her, and we talk on Facebook here and there.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's really strange. Amber openly claims here that she talks on Facebook with somebody who she claims was so verbally abusive to her, physically as well, R-worded her, swung a knife in her face, and yet she still messaged that person. And also, as we will go on to see in the Casey version of this, Amber also reached out to Casey after they had broken up, after allegedly all of this happened, and asked him for sex tips. So that is not something that you would do. I do not think.
Things are very different, and she regrets everything she did. But I'm kind of at that point.
This like constant insistence on calling Casey she is really starting to fucking piss me off in this video. Like, it's not hard, and she's just said, so she knows his pronoun, just fucking use it.
Where I might cry about it now, but I've healed. I have, but it's definitely like memories that make me sad, but I've healed from it, and I'm stronger because of it.
So why are you bringing it up now then? If this is true and she's healed and she's stronger from it, why are you bringing it up now? It's not true. It's just for content. And she did it with the Aunt Tammy stuff. She's wearing these fake glasses. Everything about this is just performative and just bravado, I just don't buy it.
Because of it, and I know that the bad in my life made me wiser, and I'm able to key into people more. I'm rambling, but just know
I think people I need to key into her more. And part of the reason that I make this content, one of the reasons, there's a few different ones, but part of it is I think the online footprint of Amberlynn, the way she finds her victims and her girlfriends, she does it online. And I think the fact that she acts online to find these people and hurt them, I like that there are other people who are also online, moving in her circles in girl world, like myself, who make these videos that say, no, you are a piece of shit, because it minimises the likelihood, or it makes it less likely that people who Google her, you know, and look into her, they'll be like, oh my God, is this all the stuff you've done? And they might steer well clear, you know? So I wonder if that might be partially why she's struggling to find a new caretaker. It's probably not that. It's more than likely that she's just still with Emily. But
if you're in an abusive relationship, you're not alone. I've been there, and you deserve so much more for yourself. And I just figured I'd share the story with you guys because that is a big part of my life that I went through. Me and Cassidy were together for 4 years before I was like, closing the door, I'm done.
Well, it's more like before she got Crystal lined up and prepped and ready to be penetrated by Amber into her life, you know?
And that also goes for, like, if you were forced in a relationship to have sex, that is not okay. Not okay, and I will consider it rape because it does not matter.
And the thing is, like, this is really strange to me. There's no, I will consider it R word. It is. Like, there's no, I will consider it that for you. Like, no, it is that. That's what it is. Coercing somebody into doing that is that. And even when she goes on in Rain and Petals, which we are going to watch at some point, she goes, Rain and Petals eavesdrop, I used the wrong word. But she then goes on to say that she was coerced and she should have used the word coerced. Well, that is Rain and Petals, you know? So it's just, she doubles down without even realising that she's doubled down. That's just how dumb she is, frankly. Sorry, but...
that if we were in a relationship or that we're lesbian, she forced me. And a lot of people can question, how is that possible? It's very possible. And it made me feel so, like, degrading and gross and grummy, and I'm done. But
it made me feel like so degraded and gross and grummy. I'm done, with a little tiny smile. Throughout this video, not very much mention of how it affected her, no mention of how she's got through it, how she's moved on, no mention of how it's affecting her relationship with Destiny. These are just things that I know would affect her and, you know, would be a factor for her if she actually did go through this. Why is there no mention of how it's affecting her current relationship? Why is there no mention of how it's affected her mental health and how it's made her feel? All we get is this little tiny sentence at the end of the video. It made me feel gross. But that's not that insightful. I feel like there's more that would be able to be said by somebody who had actually been through this, you know?
I just figured I'd share this with you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was, like, very crazy, and it's not.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video. What, you hope I enjoyed the video of watching you tell me about your R-word experience? That's, again, such a weird thing to say, and it's just more of a sign that this is just content to her. The only reason she's telling this story is because she wants to make content. She wants clicks and to make money, and she's using this story, which I believe she's fabricated, in order to do that. Like, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Here's my R-word story. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. It's just weird, man.
Thing I upload onto YouTube, but I want to try, you know, sharing more about my past with you guys to make you understand a little bit more of why I am who I am today. So I'll see you guys in my next video.
I mean, that was very insightful, that her saying, I'm telling you this because I want to give you guys more of an insight into why I am how I am, which again sounds like an excuse. Very weird. Also, this is a horrible screenshot I've just ended on. Well, there you go. That is my first ever retro react, my thoughts on Amber's Casey Accusations video. It was very interesting to watch it again and just take it all in. I noticed some things about it that I hadn't noticed before. Some things that Amber doesn't say that I would have expected her to say. Next, I think I'm gonna watch the Rain and Petals video. We are gonna watch it. It's absolutely infamous. I've got the poem like on the screen, so I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna read the words, and you know, the poem is quite a lot of it is just gobbledygook, but there's some context and some stuff that we can look at to kind of get into, like, why did she write it? What's she actually saying? What function does the poem actually serve? Thank you guys for spending this time with me. Sorry that it was, again, a bit heavy. I hope you're enjoying my stupid glitter and lasers try-on reactions. I'm finding them really funny to make. They're just like a nice reprieve, so I'm enjoying those. Okay, I'm gonna like scrub this from my memory and go and take Molly for a walk. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.